always push that first panel to 11.
I saw that.
So that everybody can just kind of take that breather, come in, do the traditional sing along, and then wrap up and get out of here.
I like to grab my coffee and sit in the back.
What you looking for?
Oh, you found it.
Then this is it.
I like your Miss Frizzle.
One room over. You're gonna need to go check that out.
Your Miss Frizzle is dope.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Hey, and that's coming from Steve.
Oh, if you give me the story.
It's like mystery. Yeah.
It's gonna be different. Yes.
We'll do that. At some point between now and 10 p.m.
I'm ready for that.
Energy.
Your tag is on the table.
No. Nipples are gross. What do you think?
She came and told me. It's like, if you don't text me, I don't know. I'm not checking Discord for this.
Yeah. Treat yourselves. You deserve it.
Oh, that was sheer. So he's gonna go 12. 24/7.
Oh, heck yeah, man. These are clues. They're post-it notes, so I've been passing clues out. Yeah. And I've been taking very important notes for the panelists.
Right.
So yes, they brought the table down.
Those parties would be even more fun.
You gotta find the clues to figure out what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Is this art?
Yes.
And I was actually grateful.
Is anything I do art?
So it made for a really interesting.
Yeah.
And just
You never know.
Kids are
Sometimes I wish I was.
so would it be Steve pen pies or would it be Blue Penny? Are we gonna go even deeper? Salt,
They're both
pepper,
straight.
sugar, magenta,
and then
what do you have in mind?
yeah, so
We don't
like
Paprika, that was the daughter. Salt. God damn it, it's a recall.
All right, we're ready to go. Yes, sir. Joe's scrambling to get the music. All right, everybody, welcome to Digital Media Track. Everybody having a good con so far? Woo! You know, the greatest thing about being a restricted capacity is I can just walk into the bathroom and not pass 50,000 women glaring at me because they can't get into the bathroom. So y'all getting into the bathroom makes my life better.
There was a line earlier, so you better be careful.
Yeah, you do have to be careful.
That's a record for making it weird, Charlie.
I try. That's what I do. But I do feel bad. Don't you, Tony? When you go and the men's room has no line and the women are like, come on, man, feel the pain? You don't feel bad?
I don't give a frack.
All right. Well, big brothers and big sisters do. They take care of the children in Atlanta. Definitely, it's a charity. We make things
Stupid
weird. That's how we do
segue.
it.
So random.
Text Mentor. It's Saturday. This is day 4 for me of Dragon Con.
Masterclass.
243-725. Text Mentor to 243-725 and support the charity, which is Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta. It does a lot of great work. We had MC Williams here earlier today who works with them, and just to hear some of the stories about how it's improved his life to help others is amazing. And at Dragon Con, we're matching it dollar for dollar up to $100,000. So If you type that in on the chat for the live stream, text mentor to 243-725. They can also donate from home as well and be a part of what we do. This is the podcasting masterclass. That's really about content creation. And we've done 101s in the past about how to get started. They just did a workshop on audio, on like what microphones to get. And of course, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. We're not going to turn anybody away, but definitely think of this as how to grow and get bigger, how to get where you want to get, how to see the mistakes that we've made and do more. So I'll go down and start introducing everybody. We've got Philip D Keating of Botch Podcasts.
Hello.
Woo! And
hi, I'm Philip D. Keating, also known as the Imaginary Nomad. I do anything from D&D streams to I did a couple crafting streams. I do gamings and horror games and whatnot. And then recently I've started to get into just chatting, where I'm adopted, and I did a 23andMe test on stream just to see what's going to happen. And I did it with my community, and it was wonderful.
And you're the colorblind version of Where's Waldo today.
Sure,
Awesome.
yeah.
Great.
Wouldn't it be cool if you did that test and it turns out your parents are actually your biological parents? Like,
Yeah, no, that would be weird.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
We lied to you about being adopted.
Maybe they just didn't know.
Oh, it'd be
Amazing.
jeez. I'm already screwed up. I don't need any more trauma.
Sorry.
No, I know you haven't met Phil, but that would explain so much.
I know, right?
It would. So we've got next to Phil, we got Todd Cochrane of Raw Voice and many, many other awesome things.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, long-time podcaster.
There we go. All right.
First time.
First
For that smattering of applause.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Sorry, I had my coffee. My bad. All right. So, honestly, one of the most new, amazing people I've met, new to me, amazing people I've met, Jessica Kupferman here is She Podcasts. I told the story yesterday. It was last minute. Like, how did I not know about this conference? It's in my backyard. Got to meet her. I got blown away by the chemistry. Did you personally come out with your Voice Will Change the World?
Yeah.
Oh man, as soon as I thought, I don't usually buy shirts because t-shirts don't fit me. You had great sizes, which was amazing, and it's just this beautiful slogan that says "Your voice will change the world." I wear it all the time.
That's so
I
nice.
love that shirt.
Thank you.
So Jessica Kupferman.
Hi.
I'm saying that right?
Yes, you are
Kupferman.
Kupferman. So few do. Jessica Kupferman. I co-founded a podcasting community online called She Podcasts. It is a free support Facebook group for women who are podcasting. No males allowed, but we are inclusive for non-binary, etc. We have an online membership, and we also have a conference that we did for the first time in 2019 at the Marquee, which is where I met Charles. And we are having our second one this fall in Scottsdale, Arizona. So you can go to shepodcast.com if you'd like to come. We would love to have you.
Don't be shy. Tell them how many people are in the group.
20,000 women, etc.
And growing.
It grows crazy. But yeah, please join. They're the most supportive, nice people you'll ever meet. All podcasts are the best, though, really.
And
But women especially.
Yeah. And to my left, I've got my business partner of the conmods.com and the super fantastic, friendly adult game show podcast. Todd, no, it's not it. No, you don't do anything else though, right? I just stuff with me and that's it. Yeah. Tony P. Henderson.
I also have two podcasts
Oh.
that you don't listen to. Hey, Tony P.
Yes.
Henderson, a podcaster, moderator. I try to keep Charles wrangled in.
Yeah, he tries.
I have a couple shows I do. In Addition, which is a roundtable talk with some friends. A couple are here. Was that an applause? Yeah,
Yes.
applause. Oh,
And
she's on the show. Yeah.
yeah, and in addition, supplied the StreamYard to us this year, so we can be streaming on Twitch.
Hey, yes, you're welcome. And then I do Tony P. Oddcast, which is weird and wacky news. Comes out 2 or 3 times a week. A little short show. So yeah,
That's a
Do
great
this.
show.
Oh, thank you. I'm usually talking bad about Charles. Well, yeah, I'll save it. You got to listen. Yeah.
We have an hour.
Yeah, only an hour. No, we only have an hour at this table. I'm Charles McFall, rock out of podcasting and director of the digital media track here, and wanted to take it to another level with digital creation. So I think by heart, we're all podcasters. We started there, and I know a lot of us, not all of us, gone to Twitch and TikTok and all the platforms out there and create different kind of content. So this is very Q&A heavy. As you have a question, you need to be at the microphone so that the stream can pick you up. But I'm going to go down and throw down. Let's start with Phil, and we'll just come down this way, and we'll start that way.
I mean, that's fine.
All right, Tony.
No.
I mean, you're cousins and all.
So
I mean,
bitter.
Not anymore.
y'all so
We're
family.
not.
Oh no!
That's why
Spoilers. I haven't
yeah.
watched that podcast yet.
Bitter.
But Phil, what was one of the biggest mistakes you made getting started that changed the game for you that you would tell everybody don't do that?
Oh, geez. It seems like every time I start a new project or a new show, I start a new Twitch name. So I have multiple different affiliations that I'm trying to upkeep and catch and all that. So like, I have my own Imaginary Nomad, Botch Podcast, Nook's Tavern, Bro Migos, and then a couple more that I don't even use. But if I could have redone it, I really would have just kept mostly everything on Imaginary Nomad and then just have the botched one by itself and just ran everything through the Imaginary Nomad.
That makes sense.
Because also, like, remembering all the different logins and, like, having to give them to everybody oh, God, it's just a mess.
Man, I go to my Twitch channel now, and my password keeper goes, which channel do you want? There's like 15.
But that's
so
the thing.
hard.
Like, recently
yeah.
as well, like, I keep forgetting my Twitch password. So, like, I have to keep resetting it. And then, like, I can't use this because I used it 6 months ago. And so, like, I'm just all over the place with it.
That's so hard.
Yeah. Now, Todd, you and I started roughly about the same time in 2004, where we had to hand code HTML, where we had to hand do our RSS because there were no programs out there to do it. So coming from that background, what was one of the biggest mistakes you made that you would warn people off of?
I don't know if it was a mistake. It was more of a realization, but it was a different time. It wasn't cool to make money. You did it for the art. So I was about 80 shows. I was 69 episodes in. I remember specifically, and I announced I had gotten.
No.
How do you forget that number, Todd?
Okay, you don't. So you're bad. So I announced I had gotten a book deal and I had to keep it secret for a while, and then they gave me the date I could announce it, and it just happened to be that show. As near as we could figure it at that time, because we really weren't measuring very well. I thought I had maybe 40,000 listeners, but probably it was more like 10 because we didn't know how to filter in those days. So we were doing raw counts. So it was probably more like 10,000.
I thought you meant like 10 listeners.
Well, there was definitely more than
That's
10.
hilarious.
But yeah, it would be funny, right? So basically I announced on my show that I got this podcasting book coming out and I gotten paid. I lost half my audience. They revolted. And I thought right at that point, it really wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was like, all right, the ones that are remaining, they're going to be cool when I do get a sponsor and they won't leave. So that was kind of the opposite token. But yeah, can you imagine you losing listeners because you made money? People were pissed. It was unbelievable.
I mean, I remember putting, give me a cup of coffee on your website, and people would hate on you for that.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
It was about being a rebel at the time, taking it to the man, being able to, kill the radio star. Joke. So.
Well, no, it kind of was. Adam Curry had gotten fed up with commercial radio and all that. So he wanted a forum that he could just control, and we got the benefit from it.
That's right.
What about you, Jessica?
Mistake?
Yes. Besides sitting next to me.
I like it. So when I first started podcasting, I thought I was going to be this huge innovator. I noticed that no one had a podcast that was like live where you could ask questions live. And so I thought, I'm a genius. And this was like 2013. It wasn't when they started. It was like way after. So I was like, I found a way where people could call in. I marketed the living hell out of it. And I already had a pretty healthy audience. So I wasn't worried about downloads. It was just more about me letting people hear my charming personality than it was about like just starting a show for show's sake. So I was like, oh, I'll have the first live podcast and people will call in and ask questions and interact with the guests, and the guests are going to be amazing. And like the first time it worked really great. And the second time I'd like first time it was like 20 people on there. I was like, yes. And the second time it was like 5. And the third time, no one. And I got super angry at my audience because I was like, who do these people, if I'm having the best show. But then I looked at my downloads, and it was like 200-300 downloads, but just when they wanted to listen, not when I wanted them to listen. And that's when I learned, I mean, I did more research and learned this also much later, that the beauty of podcasting is that you can listen and do whatever you want. Like, you're not supposed to tell people, your audience, like, come find me here now, because that blows the whole purpose of podcasting. So I was like, okay, I'll be a little less controlling, and it'll work out better. So yeah, so I guess my advice is don't innovate, but that's not, it's not really good advice. But I mean, go slow and be open to the fact that you could be very, very wrong.
And that's why I always tell streamers, people get started doing live, you need to, one, do video on demand and download it and record it on audio, whatever. But you also need to put out that audio stream, unless it's a super high visual medium.
Yeah, unless it's a circus.
Right.
No
then
one
you
will
put out the
get
video
caught.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
That way it's on demand later.
Yeah.
That way, because they can come find you. Joe and I do a show on Thursday nights, Pokemon Go podcast, and we have a dedicated audience of 10. And I'm not being funny. I mean, it's about 10, 11 people that will come out every Thursday and watch us talk about this game that everybody else plays on their mobile device whenever they can.
Yeah.
And our download on our podcast is massive. And we always say, hey, if you want to come be a part of it, and the incentive is they get whoever's there live, they get to name the show. They vote on that.
So yeah, I actually do my current podcast now live on Mondays on our Facebook page. And yeah, we have like a set audience of like 10 or 15 that come, even though like our downloads are like around 1,000 an episode. It's fine with me if there's only 10, 15, because they don't get to name the show, but they do get to see us argue and like drop our mic and like bunk our, like drop things on our desk. They love that. And yeah, like if you think about how you consume content, like you flip through and find people you like first. And then if they have a live that catches your interest, but like most of the people I know who have been successful on TikTok didn't start lives for months and months and months until after they knew they had an audience that would show up when they saw their face. So just keep that in mind when you start to do live stuff.
Perfect. Tony, what was a mistake you learned from?
Oh man, I've been, I guess, podcasting on and off for like 8-9 years. It's constant mistakes. All I do is make mistakes and learn from it. I guess one of them, the hardest one for me to overcome, and this may kind of go against, if you're doing business side, this is one thing, but if you're doing it hobby and for fun, my mistake was sweating the downloads and the reviews and checking it obsessively. At least to me, and again, if you're monetizing it, you do have to track that. That's business. But if you're not trying to make a ton of money, you're just pissing yourself off. Because it's in all the time I've been doing it, every number I've checked, every download, every episode, my best episodes, it's never been good enough. And so I just kind of stopped sweating it and do it for fun. Again, hobby side, and just try to make content that I enjoy and not sweat who downloaded it what day. So not that I would be mad if you guys all go and listen. I would take that bump, but I try not to sweat it. Try.
TonyPodcast.com. It's great. 10-minute.
About a couple times a week.
Bleep. It's blip, not bleep. It's a blip.
Sure,
it's
all
good.
of it. A bloop.
All of it.
It's a
Yeah,
bloop, actually.
Yeah, it's my bad. I would say not trusting myself enough and getting with the wrong people. And I literally built my first network on the principle of I'm okay. I think I know what I'm doing, but I really need other people to be successful. And I try to recruit good podcasters. And the pitch was, you be the talent. You don't know how to do the website. You don't know how to do it. I'll do all of that. We'll build up this network. We'll rise together. What that really translated to was people who just want to be on microphone. And I did everything else. And this is before smartphones and all that. So I'd come home from being out and have missed messages on my house phone and have to sit at my computer for 2 hours trying to work things. And it would never work because everybody just wanted to have fun. And I wanted to make a business of it. And that network crashed and burned so hard.
I think networks are tricky anyway, though.
Yeah.
They can be.
Agree.
I mean, I think we did a successful one with Giant Size Team Up, and even that became tricky. And
I think it's really hard to make it
Changed.
successful for everyone. That's all.
that you're right, and that's actually the principle. If you don't focus on what I learned from my mistakes, is I got to focus on what's right for me. And when you do that, the right people will come along and fly with you. And the people are like, you got money, Todd? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to spit at you. You got money, Todd? I hate you. They won't do that. It's like, well, okay, but you're not paying my bills. starving artists are still starving.
That's fact.
I think another mistake that I made, which I'll never go back to again because I've learned from it, is scheduling downtime for yourself.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
at the
worse.
peak of my content creation, I was running from Sunday to Thursday, and I did that for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And it broke me completely because I wasn't giving myself time for mental health breaks or relaxation time. It was just constantly going until I crashed and burned. And it had to happen, and I'm thankful for that actually happening. But it took like 3 months for me to like recover myself and figure out what the heck I want to do. And how can I find this perfect balance between content creation and my own mental health? And it sucks that it had to happen that way, but I'm past that now, and I've learned from that mistake, and that it's very important, if it's only an hour a day, to just pull yourself away from everything and make that your time.
I'm laughing down here because once we were doing, Phil and I do a lot together. We were doing something, and I don't know, like the stream crashed or we canceled the show, and you're like, what am I going to go do? I was like, dude, go to bed. Go take a nap. You're like, no, I got to work on something.
It's true.
And we'll take questions from the stream. If something pops up, just flag us, and I'll repeat the. I know they won't hear it on the stream, but I'll repeat it for them.
I'm like, no worries. Thank you for even dropping in.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
It'll be on video on demand, youtube.com/DC Digital Media. We've done some co-creations together on different shows. And when I found the Giant Size team up with Brian Ibbett and Paul Klotz, we were working on a bunch of stuff, and that show changed and different things changed. But they all got to know, the people who got to work with you knew, starting around Thanksgiving to about the first year around Christmas time, I just get into this massive depression because things in my house, because of certain deaths in the family and stuff, how it affected my family, would be down, and it would just take me down. And then creation's so hard during that time. It's
Not
your
everybody
busiest time of
has
year.
seasonal depression. I thought we all did that.
I don't think.
Not
I
everybody
don't think
gets
it's
depressed
seasonal.
come November.
Mine's
It's
every
worse when
season.
someone dies around the holidays,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
someone close to you.
After this is
Yeah.
done, it's just
It's
a downward
depressing
slope from
without
there.
that. Like sometimes people just are like holidays, but then
Yeah.
if something terrible happens around then,
Yeah.
it's so much worse. It can
Yeah.
so much worse.
So I don't think I didn't have seasonal, because before the deaths in the family, that affected my wife really greatly. I didn't really have it. And then sometimes in the spring I get it. But then it got to a point where Tony, myself, Phil, and Mike Ellison were on a show, and we'd finally gotten to what I'd always kind of want to do with this group of people. And two things went wrong for me. One was I'd gone on my own path and started something, and that's where I was seeing success, seeing what I wanted, which, to be honest, is part of the master class. We're going to be brutally honest. If you don't want to grow and you don't want to have people be your fans, there's a hobby side. You can do. I've got a friend who still does a podcast, even though he doesn't publish it. He meets with somebody, records every Friday night, and like, our website broke a while ago. We don't care. And that's fun. That's the hobby side. I've always wanted to make a career of it. I started finding success on my own and still wanted to play with my boys. And between that and then the depression was I just couldn't manage with everything else that was going on. And I had a new job where I was running a company, and it was really rough. I finally had to come to that hard decision of going, I can't do this anymore. I got to step back. And it was the hardest decision I ever made, because I finally found people I liked creating with all the time, and step back. And now I'm trying to be a guest on a sister show of that, and nobody wants to have me, but they have somebody else on the table. It's okay. But along those lines,
Bitter.
I want to ask Jessica and Todd, what's something you've learned about yourself? Like I just talked about there. What's something you learned about yourself through your creative journey?
Go ahead.
Ooh,
I gotta think about
I do currently 4 shows a week. 2 for my tech show, 1 for the new media show, and 1 for the company show. And luckily I get paid to be on 2 of those. So I can do it during business hours. So it makes it manageable where I'm not killing myself at night. But I think that my journey when I started podcasting was never miss an episode. Never
Right. Never take a day off.
Never take it. I would 2 a week, and really probably went that way for 5 or 6 years. And I tell podcasters though, and some people are going to cringe with this, I tell podcasters that first 2 years, you really can't take a break. I say season 1's on Friday, season 2 begins on the following Monday. And I know that's people cringe when I say that, but people build you into their lives and you have to deliver or they're going to go somewhere else. Unless you train your audiences that you're going to be taking breaks when you need to. And that's what my audience has gotten to the point now. It's like, if I'm having a bad day, we all have a bad Monday every once in a while, or, something's come up and you're just grumpy, and you're like, you want to bite somebody's head off. That is not the day to do a show. So I have a tendency to, on an occasion when I'm not in the right mood, to pull the plug on an episode. And I just tell the audience the following day, I was either tired, grumpy, wasn't in mood. And I think they appreciate it because that episode would have sucked anyway. It'd have come across wrong. But on the other hand, when I am getting ready to do a show, it's usually a Red Bull and some jumping jacks and I'm ready to rock, So you get in the right frame.
Sounds scary.
Yeah.
It does, right?
Red Bull and John.
And getting that right frame to be able to try to entertain a little bit. But I think from my standpoint too is learning to breathe a little bit because as creators, this can consume us. So I try to take weekends off. It's hard.
Actually, this is not the thing that I've learned about myself, but I just want to add to this conversation. Speaking of taking time off, like I've done my show with my partner, Elsie, for 6 years. And we haven't always done it, but we learned after a few years that when we try to record between Thanksgiving and New Year's, we're in hell because we're both moms and we both are trying to, and I do Hanukkah and she does Christmas and you never know when Hanukkah is going to be. So I could be in the middle of a gift wrapping frenzy, or I could be biding my time until New Year's. You never know. And then she's always, there's always stuff you want to do with your kids and take them here and take them there and travel and stuff. So we just decided, you know what, let's just not podcast between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. And we just do reruns, whatever shows we look at that got the most downloads, we just replay them. We tell people we're going to do it and then we do it. As far as what I've learned about myself, it's sort of just solidified that I'm hilarious. And I knew that already, but you guys aren't laughing. What the frick?
Because I believe you're hilarious.
No, but I mean, I have always been told that I should be some type of stage performing type person, and I sort of just always ignored it. But when I started podcasting, and especially when I started with my co-host, who's really opposite of me, that apparently when we poke at each other and antagonize each other, it's really funny. It's really funny for us to get annoyed with one another, disagree with one another. And that, you can do that without being psychotic, I guess, that you can do that with a best friend and it's really funny. And actually it's really helped me learn how to do it. That's all.
Learning how to disagree and not be in a fight with somebody was hard for me.
Yeah. I heckle her. I heckle her to death. Because she's one of those people that's funny, but not on purpose. And so those people, you need to tell other people why they're funny, right? Because otherwise maybe nobody will know. So yeah, I have been able to hone that skill so that when I'm on other people's shows, or if I'm on a panel, I can now heckle people without insulting people. I've been able to hone that craft a little bit.
And I'm gonna throw to the other two guys questions. What do you want to know? We're gonna keep talking. If you want to know something, step up to the microphone. We got you. Tony, what'd you learn about
You
yourself?
have 5 podcasters. We can talk for.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry.
No. That's
We'll go to the bar for get beers for 3 hours and talk all this stuff.
It's true.
What did I learn? I kind of learned to set my own wins, my own what works for me. So,
Gotcha.
And it's different for everyone. Again, if you're business side, you have $1 win. Maybe some people are focused on download win. I got to a point where it's kind of just my win is, am I having fun? Am I enjoy? I kind of Marie Kondo it. Is this bringing me joy? And if it's not, and it's not, basically my rule in life is, am I having fun or am I making money? And if it's no on either of those, all right, I'm out. Actually, no.
Define your own success. And define your own success, right?
Yes,
it doesn't have to be downloads
exactly
right.
So if you're having fun with it, you don't have to worry about the downloads. You're having fun. You're bringing it to yourself. If it's something your life and family depends on the money, if you're making the money, you're doing well. So yeah, define exactly that. Define your own success. Don't let someone else do it. Don't make it be, I got to have 100,000 downloads. then you just get miserable trying to chase that. So.
Don't let someone tell you that you have to not miss a show for 2 years.
Yes. So that's a good point with my current show.
I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, I was thinking as you were saying that if that doesn't work for someone here, they're going to feel like they're doing something wrong. When we can't always do that because we have whatever we do. Our lives are all so different now.
And there's no rules in podcasting. You can take what you want and throw the rest away.
It's good advice.
So what we do on Botch, we kind of do a hybrid of both of your methods because we haven't missed an episode in 5 years, but we normally take off for the entire month of December because we record multiple episodes a night. So we have a bank of episodes if there's an emergency or there's something that comes up, like somebody has to rush to work. We can miss that recording night, but then also know hey, we've got 10 episodes in the bank, so we can miss a couple days.
Yeah. That's really smart.
Unless you come to Dragon Con with a completely depleted bank and your live show on Sunday is going to be the episode you post on Monday.
That's why I did guest host this week. I had none in the bank.
Yes, guest hosts are important.
Yeah, most certainly, but I don't trust any of you to do it.
It depends on your show, right?
But for me, the thing that I learned most while getting into this is setting expectations that are and goals that are tangible, and how to communicate properly and honestly with the people that I'm working with. The D&D show has 4 of us on there, and each one of us has a different point of view on how things should be done. And each point of view is important because they're part of the show. So me and my co-creator, Dennis, though we don't ever see eye to eye with each other about some issues, we're both completely honest with each other. We may not say it in the nicest way, but the point always gets across. And so there's never, ever, second guessing or not knowing his points of view or my points of view. And it's just trusting the people that I'm working with that, yes, we're not agreeing, but it's not out of anger. It's just seeing an issue at different points of view.
To that point, I without telling their business, I've been in behind the Botch Productions for a while. I watched Some Kind of Monster with the Metallica documentary after they lost Jason Newsted and went on to the next one. And actually,
Where's
there was
the Black Ice. I have not seen Black Ice.
And I saw it happen to a show here where they got fired up at Dragon Con, came together, built the show, found some success. The next year they were going to be doing panels and obviously not to tell their business, but I'll tell the part that's important, is they started reaching out to me as we got closer and closer to the con saying, and we appreciate the opening, we can't come because we're having this massive fight and it's getting legal now. And we're not sure who owns what. And I really don't feel comfortable even appearing on panels as myself while this is going on. And to that end, well, Lauren's with the Metallica one, I know they had paper contracts, but they talked about giving voting rights. The point is, you've got to go in knowing the end, right? The end can be good, it can be bad. You've got to go in. Paperwork makes for friends. And I insist on contracts with just about everything I do now that does money. Otherwise, I own it all. That's how I run. Because I've done too much of the sharing and too many people think they have an opinion. And I see all the heads nodding, you know what's going on. You got to know who does what and how it will break up. So, we are the comment. Now, we need to do some paperwork. Tyra's been talking to us about it. But if things split, how does the business split? Who gets the name? Who does the brand go away? And you think, we are good friends. That hopefully will be forever. But maybe it won't be.
Money,
Charles,
money has a way of complicating things, not for us.
No, and we've had some hard conversations. I've done some things on stage that afterwards you're like, let's not do that.
That's every show. Yeah. So 5:30 upstairs, if you want to come see the next ridiculous thing he says. But no, money, unfortunately, it makes it tough.
I think if you have a co-host or there's more than one person on the show, that legal agreement is, because I'm usually the one I have a lawyer on the team. I'm sending all these things that are going sideways for shows because people will get nasty. They will change passwords. They'll delete episodes.
And you're referring to the Blueberry hosting part of it?
It happens on all platforms, but if there's two hosts and then they have a breakup And then the war that ensues upon the IP, the domains, the episodes,
Yeah.
all that stuff sometimes it makes the news and sometimes it goes to court. So, if you've got a ladies or gentleman's agreement or whatever you want to call it, please write that down on a piece of paper. And if nothing else, lay these points out, say, this is, if you and I hate each other in 2 years, this is what we're going to do. It's really critical.
It's nothing
Elsie and I
personal.
have never had a contract. We have no contract.
But
we have no piece of paper. We used to be a side project. So if anybody ever paid us for advertising, I made a She Podcast PayPal account, and then I would just split it between our personal ones.
Yeah.
But there was a time when we had to have a conversation like, what if all of a sudden we got $1 million? Like, we would have to make this a business. Do you want to be a business owner, or do you prefer? Like, Elsie she's an immigrant from El Salvador. She came here when she was 8. Like, she's not interested in owning a business at all. Like, she's much more comfortable being an employee. Doesn't matter if it's of me. Doesn't matter if it's she currently works for one of Todd's competitors, lives in. Doesn't matter. But we've never needed a contract because she has full faith and trust that I'll take care of her, and I will. And we've started to have bites about buying She Podcasts, and she still is like, wants nothing to do with the conversation, except, she wants somebody to buy us that she likes. But I mean, other than that, we have no, I know you're probably thinking I'm an idiot, right, Todd?
No,
but like,
Todd's breaking
but he
down
also
the
knows
lines.
Elsie, so he knows she's a special case. But but it is, I'm saying it's important, but
Yes.
in our case, we don't have it.
Oh, no. You both are right, because it's all about your expectations of what you're getting into. And just because one person always wants a contract and the other person doesn't, like, it's okay. It's what's going to work best for you and the people that you're working with.
He's probably seen 1 million people have a mess.
And,
not 1 million, but when it's a mess, it's
It's a
It's
big
a
mess.
big
it's a
mess.
mess.
It is. It's true.
Yeah.
And it's sad too, because you have oftentimes these powerhouse shows that go down in misery
Like
because
Arctic
of, it's happening in YouTube space too. So it's just not podcasting. So you can just have, if you have a, co-host or a co-host with, multiples, then just, if nothing else, have a discussion about it so that, remember, we talked about this, and even if it's not on a piece of paper, but
And one of the lessons I've learned, you're talking about her expectations. You're having the conversation.
Mhm, you have to.
And I don't know if you just said this off the cuff to me one day, or if this is something that's a meme that I've missed, but with conversation and consent, just about anything can happen, right? And I learned that hard lesson by, Hugh's not in the room, he's another one, but Hugh was my co-host for a while. Talking about doing live. He's one of my first live callers, and he called every week just to give me somebody to talk to. Which
He's like
That's
your
nice.
best friend. Yeah.
yeah, no, he's my best
Good
friend.
friend, yeah.
I fired him on the air. I mean, we had a conversation on like a Friday night or somewhere in the week. We had this conversation about this isn't working. We want to go in 2 different directions, because I kept pushing him. I wanted the spotlights. I wanted the stage. I wanted to be doing more of what I'm doing today. He did not at all. He was like, no, just quit putting the cart before the horse. And we're like, bleep, I am the horse. Come on, follow me. But I was trying to push the wrong person in the wrong place. So contracts wouldn't have changed anything. We had a long conversation off air, thought we understood each other. He showed up that Friday night for our live show. And I went, what are you doing here? And we'd already gone live. He's like, no, get off of my show. And it was ugly. 3 days later, because business for me, and I understand I'm a little different. A lot of people, that's why paperwork makes for friends, because a lot of people will be like, we can't be friends anymore. We're friends. That was just business. I knew the show had to go in a different direction. It's a hard decision. 3 nights later, we did his show, which I was his co-host on his show. And I showed up. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, unless you don't want me here, I'm here to do the job with you, man, and support you. And he's like, oh, because in his world, once you had to fight, it was done. But that's where I learned you don't push people you don't put Elsie in charge of the business, because she does not want the business, right?
No, that's bad for everybody.
Yeah. You had some people
They want nothing to do with it.
that
yeah,
you try to give say to.
We've all been, I feel like everyone, the people I know, Charles and Phil, we've all been through it. It's like this tale as old as time, where, and man, when I say a couple dollars, I literally mean a couple dollars come into the picture. And some people just lose their mind or really get testy about it. So now that's why my show is solo.
Yeah.
And you'll hear me say a lot about a solo show and the hobby and doing it for fun, and going back to peppering in breaks. I tell everyone, hey, I got a convention. I can't do it this weekend, but I'll be back. Stick around. But yeah, I am a fan of once money comes in, I say do the paperwork. It's I live by. It's not like you all said. It's not personal. It's business. And try to draw that line, but it's hard. It's hard sometimes when it's your friends. You're gonna take it personal.
The thing about the money too is interesting is once you get a sponsor, you're kind of committed. So
Yes,
Yeah.
my
Very
contract with GoDaddy said 8 shows a month, and I had a quota to meet. So I lived and died by that for years. And then finally I'm like, can we have a discussion about this? Can I take Thanksgiving off? I'm like, you aren't. So they wanted me to be fresh and healthy too, from a mindset and doing the show, because probably what would happen is if I was cranking, and it would probably hurt the sponsorship if I'm not doing good content. So that's a conversation you have with a sponsor. And matter of fact, there was a big controversy over Joe Budden. And when he was on Spotify, basically when they made the contract, they didn't get breaks, no breaks, 0 breaks. And that came out in a very ugly way. And of course, Joe's doing his own thing now on YouTube. Yeah. And, but if you think about that, Spotify lost a pretty valuable asset just because they weren't being flexible with that team and letting them do the show they wanted to do. It would have been better if they could have took a break. And so in the end, Spotify's contracting them, they didn't renew and they continued on. So I think that as you're growing your shows and those opportunities come up, think about where it's going to be another year from now. It's all exciting to get that check. I'm going to be honest with you. I love when that check comes. And it makes things worth it when you're kind of not wanting to do content, but still that mental health break is critical. I think we've all learned this from COVID. We all need it from time to time. Yeah,
I mean, I'm a workaholic. I built a great team here and volunteers. They do a great job. And this is the first year I don't quite know what to do with myself because the team is carrying all the tech. I used to have to sit over there. I used to have to be in there. And I get people to stop me all the time, like, have you eaten? Have you gone? And I've been like, no, get out of my way. I got something to do. So, yeah, learning to take those breaks has been really difficult, but worthwhile. To a more positive note, through your positive podcasting and creative careers, what was that aha moment like, oh, no, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. 2 moments for me were the first time I got a random stranger to write into my show. And because it was called Bear Crawling. And I literally like F the world. I felt alone. My little world around me, nobody understood what I was going through. Everybody kept telling me, suck it up, basically. So I looked at a wall and just unloaded with all my family problems, my life problems, everything else, talking about solutions, whatever, just being brutally honest. And 8 episodes in, somebody wrote me and said, man, 1, your family life's a little bit worse than mine, so you made my life better. But 2, you made my life better. I mean, they really hammered that home. I was like, holy crap. The second aha moment was when Todd and Blueberry sent me a check for $18, and that made it real for my wife. And I was good to go after that. I made $18 that month. That was a month. I didn't make more money after that, but it was great. Those are my aha moments. So, Phil, you lucky you have something.
Oh, man. 2017, sitting right in this room, was our first live show ever for Botched. And it was a packed house. And we were an unknown commodity, right? And I was in here for Booze and Phasers with Audrey Kearns and her co-host. And we were following them. And when their panel ended and I was talking to Kearns and whatnot, I was like, all right, well, I got to get ready. I got to go pee and really get ready for the show. I hope people show up. And I go out this door and there's a line that's wrapped all the way to 7. And I said, oh, shit. So I went up to the first person. I was like, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, we're going to watch the show. It's going to be great. And I was like, oh, shit. And so the rest of the cast is in here. And I was like, hey, guys, we got a huge problem.
Wait. Didn't Brian D. Bradley?
But that's the thing, right? And so I pull everybody into the hallway and we're just like, how close is the bathroom? And so we all run to the bathroom.
For those on stream, it's just all the way on the other end of the hall.
Just the nerves and everything. And we finally come back and we get on stage, and it was a raised platform at that year,
Yes.
and just like you could see the color leave all 5 of our faces. And Brian Bradley, Kearns' husband, came up to us and just gave us this rousing speech like, hey, it doesn't matter. Just have fun, do your show. You know what you're doing. And it knocked it out of the park and kind of just skyrocketed our podcasting career into something that I never thought about. And the other one's just a little bit more touching was COVID. We've had a couple reach out to us, a couple people throughout the pandemic saying like, hey, I've lost my job. I've had a death in my family. And your content has just kept my mind off of the terrible things that are happening right now. And thank you, because I don't know if we were going to make it through this without, having permission to laugh, because it's been a heck of a year, And so to get emails like that was just like, it's really why I'm doing it. And the beautiful community that we've built, through the show. My patrons and my Discord are the reason we do this, right? Yes, they're patrons of mine, but it's this weird island of misfit toys community that we've built. And if it wasn't for that community, I don't know if we'd still be doing it, to be honest with you. But they're so wonderful, and we lift each other up, and it's the reason why we still get on stage drunk and make fun of each other.
I think my moment came. I call my podcast audience my family, and people kind of look at me kind of weird. I'd been podcasting just about 2 years, getting ready to do my 200th. Matter of fact, it was the day of my 200th episode.
Nice.
And got a big show planned, and I got the call that no one ever wants to get, that you'd lost a parent, and I'd lost a parent in an automobile accident. So I was in Hawaii, and we have to get on an airplane to go home to bury my dad. And this is really before we had, I don't think the iPhone was available. It was still 2006. I think we still had that, it was still early days. And I just recorded a 60-second clip. I'm sorry, there's going to be no episode 200. My dad's dead. I'm going to be gone for 10 days. We'll do 200 when I get back. And that's the episode I put out. Didn't take a laptop, nothing. And when I opened my email after being gone for 10 days, and there was 8,000 emails of condolence.
So nice.
You're like, this is, it's not, I choke up even now. It's, they're your part of your family, and you make an impact on them. So when I needed them, they were there for me. So for me, it's pretty personal about my audience. I do truly treat them as family. So you may not have something as dramatic, but it may be just that one listener or viewer that'll say, this is how you help me. This is how you change my life. And that's what we live for, really, as creators.
Well, the question is, when was the moment when I knew that I wanted to keep doing it or start doing it?
No, keep doing it. Like you knew, this is my life now.
It's so hard because currently my podcast is so tied up in the community that they sort of all blend together. I loved, my first show was called Lady Business Radio. It was a women's entrepreneurial interview show. And I did have a lot of moments where we would talk about ADHD on the show, and then someone would DM me on Facebook and say, because you said that today, my niece went on medication and her grades improved, like that kind of thing, which always made me feel really, really good. But there's been a lot of moments from when we started She Podcast till now. We did a members kept saying they wanted an event, and we're member funded, I guess. So I was like, I can't afford to just put on an event. So we did a fundraiser for $25,000 and ended up raising $50,000 and sold 200 tickets without an event, one speaker, one sponsor, nothing. They just were like, here's our money, give us our event. And it was amazing. It was the most amazing show of faith. And I also had a similar situation with Todd where I had a tragedy that poor Elsie had to tell the audience because I couldn't podcast that week, or I don't know, it was 2 weeks or something. And a similar outpouring where Elsie was just I hate bothering you, but people keep asking me where to give you money. And within a week, there was just $5,000 in my PayPal account. I didn't ask for it. Like they just were like, how do we give her the money? Just for my own personal, just for whatever expenses I might need. Like it was the most terrible time in my life, but I distinctly remember every single DM, every post on Facebook, every time someone sent me an email or a card or put money in my account for no reason. Like it just was like, yeah, I mean, family can't even really describe it. They're just like, you realize, I guess, that they're your support system as much as you are theirs.
And sometimes you don't realize that until you're falling and they catch you.
Yeah.
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 What was your I'm going to do this forever moment?
So my story's kind of weird. Like I started podcasting and then I like dabbled in the YouTubes and the talk ticks. Is that what the kids are calling it? But dabbled in some other things and then kind of came back to podcasting, and it sort of branched into doing like live moderation and panels and things. But the moment is always the same through all of those avenues. It's kind of the same thing they're saying, just not as emotional. But anytime somebody says thank you, or I've gotten gifts, you know, that are like puns from the show, or oh, you said this and here's a, you know, something that reminded me. Anytime anyone, not to say give me gifts, but
I do like it.
an acknowledgement. No, and that's the funny. So Charles knows me. I don't like stuff.
I love giving stuff. So this is a hard relationship.
I'm minimalistic. I get awkward. I don't want gifts. Like, and so it really does mean a lot. Like I said, a gift or a comment. I moderated a panel with a celebrity, and someone's like, "Hey, thank you." What are you thanking me for? But they enjoyed that hour. They enjoyed their time, and I helped contribute to that. And that's what it is. When it's I help somebody enjoy a few minutes, that really makes me feel like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right.
But it always goes back to something, and I've got Post-it notes all over my monitor. I'm surprised I can hardly see anything when I'm doing my show, but it's a saying that I say, talk to them, not at them.
Yes.
And if you can remember to do that every time you create content, because especially in podcasting, if they're listening to the audio and you think about how you listen to music, you know, you're enjoying that. And sometimes maybe someone else is, you know, in the house, maybe you have it on the speaker or something. But typically in podcasts, people are plugged in right here and you're really in their head, literally. So just think about that when you're creating your content. You talk to them, not at them, and you'll be amazed even the next level that your content can go to.
It is the most intimate form of content creation by far. And it's also, that means that those ads are the most effective. If you ever get to sponsorship, podcast advertising blows every other kind of advertising out of the water as far as like how it moves the needle with sales, because it's the most intimate content you can create. For the reason he said, you're literally talking directly into their brain. And when they're doing something else and listening to you, there's something about being distracted while you're focusing that makes you zone in on what the person's saying. And they develop this really strong relationship with you, whether you mean for them to or not.
I can't listen to podcasts while I work.
I can't either.
Yeah, me neither. So true story, talking about it, the best advertising. I'm going to get a little weird. I'm wearing MeUndies.
That is weird.
You know? Botch has some sponsors that I know Phil uses. So
Yeah, we do. I'm not going to talk about them. You can find them on our website. But that was something else I was going to say, right? It would be strange if Botch was going to try to sell like mattresses or pillows, because it doesn't match our brand or our audience, right? So our sponsors are a little bit weird and out there, but it fits our weird and out there community.
It does.
So
before we run out of time, I wanted to ask this question. We'll start with Tony and we'll go down. One piece, if you notice, as the master class, we're not talking about know your content, know where you don't host. We're talking about why you do everything, right? So what's the one piece of advice when somebody wants to make this a long-term thing, maybe take it to a business level? What's the one thing that why you do it that you give them the advice on?
Advice. My advice to anyone starting or what, and this is going on with everything, is they touched on it. You have to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. And that's not to say everyone's a jerk, but you know, like you said, Spotify, they're focused on their business, you know, so you have to take care of yourself, whether that's mental break, physical break, time for your family. There's a lot to juggle as adults, still working on it, but you have to sort that out for yourself. Take care of yourself, and the rest will fall into place. You'll be happy, you'll have fun doing it, and that'll show.
Jessica.
My best advice for monetizing is this. Stop thinking about monetizing. You have to focus on your content and your audience. And if you have fun with what you're talking about, and you make sure you have the best possible content, the most listenable content, and that you know it's something that the audience wants to hear or talk about, money just comes because you're creating something that more and more and more and more people want to listen to. But if you focus on the money and you don't have this part, you don't have anything. So make sure you're having a great time talking about what you're talking about and that you're creating the best content you can.
So this is the best advice. I think that it goes back to when I started, and some of you may have kids at home or you've got a partner. The reason I don't edit my show is because I know those 2 or 3 hours of editing was going to push this creative process to the point where it wouldn't be sustainable, and that there would probably been. I'm
Good for you.
It was
love that.
because
I
I
love
had
that.
three little kids at the house, and Dad would go disappear for 2 or 3 hours and record the show. If I had to spend another 3 hours,
Never do it.
she would have served
Totally
me
agree.
divorce papers 15 years earlier. So
Totally agree. I totally agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I divorced Todd too. I was kidding. I love
No,
Todd.
no, no.
Love Todd.
For me, it's always the same. Invest time before you invest money. Have a sliding scale of goals constantly. Time is the one thing obviously we can't get back, but it's better to make goals like, hey, I'm going to put 10 episodes in the can and see if you can hit that. And then if you do, change your goals to something else. Make some goals that, are far away in the distance that you're working towards, but also make some smaller ones that if you work your butt off and you put your heart and soul into it, you'll be able to achieve. And then just keep giving yourself these little victories until you get all the way to that end goal that you made.
And that's what I love about what we do. And my goal is always to meet new and awesome creative people because there's all different answers. And mine is always know your why. And my why was I wanted to be my true self, the person that's in here all the time, the person that's in here all the time. And I made mistakes along the way. But if you know your why and know yourself, then you'll see. I've learned from Tony. Go take breaks. I've learned from Phil to try different humor and be okay with saying jokes and not worrying about it. I learned from Todd how to really own my content. I've learned from Jessica how to be more accepting and flow with people. I mean, these are literally people I've learned from that would probably, well, maybe not Jessica, she didn't know me that well, but they may have learned something from me and may not.
Oh.
Someone say, no.
Of course.
But I always try to give. There's too many times somebody's been in this crowd. And Todd, I know you see the groups. You're with me on this. I want to start a podcast. What do I talk about? And I've literally got to the point in my life now, I'd go, get out. Now, I mean, not here at DragCon, we're more kind of, but no, in the Facebook group.
No, but
you'll
it's
see it.
funny because
That's
it's like,
right.
well, why do you want to start one if you don't know what to talk about?
Can you join the microphone so they can hear on the stream? Yes.
Your daughter looks just like Maeve from The Boys.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Well,
Is that not what she was cosplaying?
I don't
That's
like
what I
to-
thought.
Okay.
So, but her
I don't like
face
to
is
tell on her
identical.
because she's high functioning autistic.
Okay.
So she has a very different take on the world.
Yes.
I think she's hilarious and she does do some YouTube and stuff like that. But the things that she thinks are going to be really funny and, people are going to react to because she has like a sarcastic wit, a lot of times people don't relate to. So she goes, well, if I want to do something and I'm thinking this, I would really get behind and it would be really great. And I could do a lot with this. And then she goes, but how do I find out whether or not people are actually going to like this before I invest all of this stuff
You can't.
into that?
I got you.
Can you?
No, you get past, you say, you don't care. My number one rule I learned early on was if I laugh and nobody else does, that's all I care about is I
Yeah,
laugh.
let
I
me-
made myself laugh.
There's no way to find out if something's going to be popular before you do
Yeah.
it. You just have to do it and then hope. Send it to
Well,
someone
not
you
even
think
hope.
might
Not
be.
even
Somebody
hope.
will identify
Well,
you
that's
with you.
the thing,
Yeah.
right? The people that will find that funny will eventually find that content, right? And it's just constantly having no bad ideas and just continuously putting it out. Not watching that ticker down below, but watching the ticker up above that says how many videos are there.
Right.
Because, I was never confident when I got it started that I would have what I have now, but it didn't stop me from doing it. And at some point, my freaks found me. And now, we have a huge community behind us.
How long do you wait once you start doing
You
the
don't.
That you
You
can't,
just go.
you just got to keep going.
But you start putting out content, let's say, it's very hard for her not to
Check the numbers and
check
see
one,
who's.
like to say, go, okay, gosh, I've been doing this for like 6 months and I'm literally getting no response. Actually, I've lost people. So now what?
So why is she doing it? That's where I come back to the why. Are you doing it? If you don't do it for yourself, it won't grow. It won't go forward. If you're doing it to try to track numbers, the numbers won't be there. I did the worst podcast ever. It was called Irma Gerd. It's a mashup podcast. And it is taking licensed music that DJs mash up. It's the worst because you can't really air it anywhere. Nobody wants to host it because it's essentially illegal.
Right.
But I wanted to hang out with my wife and talk about my love of mashup music. So we'd listen to this whole song and we just put it on this website. And that was it. You couldn't get it through YouTube or anywhere else. It was just on this website. And it found an audience. It's like pirate radio because there was other people who loved it. And I call it the worst because business-wise, you don't build a show on other people's music, you'll get sued. And so I didn't monetize. I did it because I loved it, and it still found an audience. And that's the point of if you do it because you want to do it.
I think the only way to
people
fail
find
creating content is to be bored by what you're creating.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't really fail unless you're like,
Yeah.
this sucks.
Now, I will add.
Otherwise, who cares who listens to it? You're proud of it. Maybe someone won't find it for another 5 years. Just keep it there. Who cares?
You never know when that breakthrough moment's going to come, when you're going to have that aha, I made a change in someone's life. Or I also say that when people are creating content, I'm at 17 years in this. I still haven't found my voice completely, and have
still growing
self-doubt
up, though.
and trying to figure, am I doing the right thing? Am I growing the audience? So the thing is, you have to do it. And it starts with episode 1 and it starts with hit record and it'll evolve. Episode 1 won't as be as good as episode 2. Episode 2 won't as be as good as episode 10. But it's just like painters. I watch painters paint. My God, they can paint a room and nothing flat, right?
Magic.
If I paint a room, it's like 2 weeks and I've got 5 gallons of paint on the floor, right? So podcasting is the same way.
But yet you keep trying.
You gotta, yeah,
But I also
Yeah.
think, go ahead, sorry.
you just gotta grind. You just gotta do it until
The couple things I would add is when you do it, you'll more than likely have fun and you'll learn some stuff and you'll make some friends.
That's the best
oh my
content.
goodness. I've honestly, I don't even like people. I'll be honest with you. My friends
are
know
the
this.
That's why we get along.
But I've made so many friends just by doing this and getting involved that you'll have fun. It may lead to something else, different avenues. The one thing I'll add, the internet's mean. The internet can stink. It's taken me 42 years to not care anymore. So that's kind of hard and it can be a struggle. I don't have advice for that. I don't want to say just get over it because it's hard, but I would say don't listen to the ugly ones, just block them out and have fun with the positive ones.
No, I embrace the trolls.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Todd,
they're troll hunters.
but we're old and bitter and angry.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for a fight, but don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not as cliche as there's no bad ideas. It's really that if you're excited to create content, somebody thinks it's interesting because that
Yes.
person's you.
Yes.
So you can't be the only one. So you should just create what you're excited to create. That is usually contagious. That feeling of like, this is going to be so funny. Someone out there is going to be like, that is so funny.
It's like Dragon Con. We got a green guy over here, right? Just walking around, right? And you saw it in the grocery store.
What-
Like,
what is
what
that a
are you
banana?
doing?
What
I
is
guarantee you, somebody in the grocery store is like, hey, you go to Dragon Con, don't you? That's a really cool costume. Or Maeve, right?
Should
You
I know
dress
what
up
it
as
is?
Maeve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the boys?
From the
Are you
boys?
Wonder
Or
Wo- are you
Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay.
Wonder Woman.
Maeve is a Wonder Woman ripoff anyway.
Hey, they're
Yeah.
both
Maeve's
awesome
hot as
women,
well,
all right?
yeah,
They're both
yeah,
great
yeah.
women. But, you walk around that, somebody will be like, what is she wearing? But other people are like, oh, that is an amazing costume, whether you're at Dragon Con or not. But Dragon Con being that, for me, that digital content, you create it, somebody will connect with you. And that's the story of Dragon Con for a lot of people. Like, oh, I found my tribe here. And I can go back to my regular job and be okay because I can be myself here. To me, that's the heart of digital creation.
There's a podcast called Fish Nerds about fishing. That guy found his audience. There's another podcast I know called Coroner Talk, where you just talk to all the he's a coroner.
Oh,
That's right. And he's just talking to all the other coroners.
And that corner's eating up. I'm about
But
to
he has
start one of my
listeners.
EMS.
Are
And
you?
It's EMS specific, but the world will like it, I think. But it's
No,
to the
probably
EMS
be great.
community.
But
I'm the director. I'll shut it off when I want to. Tech team.
Yet the director has not learned to not bang the table.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God! No,
I'm
I'm talking about
worst.
him.
I'm
He's
the
banging the
worst.
table. Master
All right.
class.
No, we would keep going on. We would keep going on. You're absolutely right. You can talk about anything. Somebody will find it. Do it for yourself.
Yes.
So let's fill this out. Tony, where can they find you?
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. Yeah, do it. If you're thinking about doing it, do it. Have fun. Put it out there and just have fun with it and learn some stuff. You can find me at TonyPHenderson.com. All my shows I mentioned are there. My socials, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming out.
I've got CharlesMcFall.com, and check out Finding the Story. Season 1's out. I've got a bridge show coming out called The Conversations, where we moderated some celebrities and they let us record that. And then season 2 comes out, and Todd's going to be on season 2. I've already got that there. But Finding the Stories on anchor.fm/Finding the Stories and on CharlesMcFall.com.
And then game show at 5:30.
And we're at
Now
Game
it
Show at
makes
5:30.
sense. She podcasts with an S at the end.com. And it has everything about our conference this fall, membership, everything.
Todd at blueberry.com. We couldn't afford the E's, so that's why it's spelled that way.
Oh, yeah. I'm
And-
also Jess at She Podcast.
And I'm at Geek News for all my content, so I'm on all the social platforms there. But before you leave, take a coffee cup and some swag. I don't
They're
want to
awesome.
ship it home, so please do that.
I'm the Imaginary Nomad on Twitch, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram with a 1. 4 o'clock, I'm talking Patreon. If you want to start Patreon, we're going to go through Patreon stuff. 7 o'clock, I'm doing an improv Pokemon show where we answer your real questions about real Pokemon in America. And then 10 p.m. is the Blood Feud. It's an improv comedy show, 21 and older. It's a Family Feud style game with Botch Podcast versus another D&D show. And Tony P. Henderson will be our mod for
Is
that.
this just Phil stuff?
Yeah, it's just me. And then tomorrow,
The Phil Show, ladies and gentlemen.
tomorrow night at 10 p.m. is Botched Alive D&D podcast, starting
What's
season
happening
6
now?
there. It's up in the Crystal Meth Ballroom, so check us out there tomorrow.
And that's how you self-promote, right?
Yeah.
You work hard. You show up.
Patreon.com/Imaginary Nomad.
Thank you for coming out. We're on
Thank you,
twitch.tv/TC
guys.
Digital Media. It'll be on YouTube later on. And as you go about, take your pictures. #DragonCon DMT for Digital Media Track 2021. We'd love to see you up on our board. Thanks for coming out.
Someone silence the mic.
I think we're going to do that. I wanted to get information time. I think you would slide in. Great work.
Yeah, it's been so fun. Thank you. I hope it works.
If you're coming back next year, you got to. Yes. You did. At some point, yes. Well, at some point, as your recognition rises and more people coming out for you, you'll be able to bump up to the flights and the
Oh, that'd be great. Okay.
because they don't. I don't know an exact number, but I know they do inspire me. But they record the show for that. He's on from filming this room, filming a medium room, he filmed a large room. But even at the medium room, they were giving him like $100 a day stipend or something. So they definitely do levels.
I love that, though. Thank you. Yeah, it's the best. What is that?
I don't remember. I know it's a game.